like that. I like that. A little bit of a cold open, something chilly, something just for the ladies. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. What?
So I think two of them. So here's what I think is going to happen: is they're going to start this tournament, and a week in, 75% of the players are going to be positive for COVID-19, and they're going to be like, "All right, we're done."
Oh my god, yeah. Did you
and
guys?
And here's what's going to happen: is the Thunder and the Phoenix Suns are going to have the best record, and thus be declared the champions.
Let's do it.
I mean, to be fair, I think I declared the Thunder the champions of the season already because they won the final game of the season.
Oh, that's true. So, yeah, you're right.
Because that is the logic, right? Like whoever
Did they play a game? Because I know the Mavericks, like it came out while the Mavericks were in the middle of the game.
That's right. Dallas Mavericks were the champions.
Fucking slobs yet again. Jesus God.
Exactly. So the thing is, whoever, this is going to be the real thing, is I think there's going to be an asterisk after this season as far as who's the champion of the 1920 season, because we're going to have two teams that technically played the last game of the season. So, and I think it's going to be the Dallas Mavericks, and potentially my other two bets are the Phoenix Suns or the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I mean,
2-0 champion.
Who honestly could know? It could be just really kind of something for us to make up our minds about, because even the basketball tournament, the thing that we've been tangentially keeping track of, they have had 3 teams have to forfeit their spots because they have tested positive for COVID. And so, I mean, it could be interesting to see.
I mean, it's all going down. It's all.
I mean, maybe we're kind of chronicling the apocalypse.
This isn't fair though, because like we've already had to deal with the sadness of basketball being canceled once this year. We're gonna have to get the double blow of basketball being canceled a second time, and then potentially a third time in the fall. Like that's just like.
And that's before cruel. The allegations come out, and then it gets canceled again. Bunch of old fucking tweets.
Man, I just can't. I can deal with basketball being canceled once, maybe twice, but 3 times. Man, miss me with that shit.
I mean, I am curious to see what is going to happen. I think, like with baseball. Like, what if it reaches a certain point where then they just kind of go, well, this season's going to just span like 2 years. We're just going to have it be one season that it counts for. Because, I mean, if they have to stop and restart, then stop and restart. Why not? Just kind of have it go through different phases. But I don't know.
What if people were so desperate for sports that anyone that was COVID antibody just went and played the sport in place of anyone that was any good?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Now that could work. That could work. I think maybe. I'm not sure what the. I mean that's like a pitch of like a reboot of The Replacements, right?
No, it is. Okay. But it's on a way bigger scale.
So what we're going to get is Adam Sandler is going to be the coach in this one.
It could work.
I think if Adam Sandler is your coach, there's no way he can fail.
No.
I think, just a mix up of The Replacements versus The Longest Yard. That would probably be an interesting matchup. I'm sure some YouTube nerds have done a thing of like fantasy, not fantasy, but like in terms of stats, but like fantasy football teams, like who would win there?
Like D&D style football.
Yeah, man. I wonder. That would hurt me inside, by the way, if someone was like, yeah, no, I mean, I like rugby a lot more than I like football, just because like I'm not really into turn-based games. And just it's true though, football really is that. No.
I mean, football is D&D for guys who their greatest moments were in high school.
Undoubtedly. from a place of personal conviction and history there. But okay, let's get into the full swing of things. I have finally updated the actual episode description, meaning it will only matter for our end because it's already gone out accidentally anyway. So I've continued to fuck all this up. Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Radio 1917, your home for sports discussion and fantasy analysis from a leftist perspective. I'm Kelton, and today I'm joined by my fellow sports Bolsheviks and professional broadcasters, Gabe and Mitch. How's it going, fellas?
Fantastic, Kelton. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Mitch is just having 1,000-yard stare right now. I'm not sure what happened.
Dude, it's the weekend. I'm just waiting my turn. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you just the prospect of basketball being canceled for a potentially second and third time just hit him.
I'm stuck on it. Yeah, I'm very upset.
He's shell shocked.
I mean,
I already knew I wasn't going to see any more basketball, but it just really hits me over and over again, and it never gets any better.
I mean, to be fair though, there has been an executive order recently signed in Texas about where, like, no matter pretty much where you are, you need to at least have a mask on at some point in time. It got passed earlier this afternoon.
Just now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Breaking as it's happening. And so I do think it will be interesting to see how many people kind of adapt that thing that the Kansas City Chiefs have of making masks that say "Keep Mahomes safe" on them, just to see what sort of signs of solidarity then it could cause. Also, hey, before I forget, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, click on the bell, make sure that you don't miss an episode so that when you get notifications. Also, thank you to Dyed Famous for our amazing logo. I have not been the best at mentioning you, sir, and my apologies on that. But as we gear up back into the swing of things and being more official, it's nice. Got to flex those muscles. Sooner rather than later, we might even fully sell out and just get like some shitty energy drink to be a sponsor of ours. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be the real sign energy, of us making us. Yeah.
I'm all about that rain energy.
As long as I don't have to drink it.
Oh, come on now. As part of the personal testimonial, we have to talk about how we love nothing more than fight milk or whatever.
So here's the thing. Here's why I'm pushing for rain energy is because we can come out and be like, look, no gods, no masters, may freedom forever reign.
Well, I will pass it on up the chain. It'll say like, hey, listen, we here, we may not have a huge base at this point in time, but we are incredibly vocal, and that's the one thing we have going for us. But I guess the main sports story that's happening right now that I feel like we should be talking about, otherwise we will definitely not make it into the amazing ranks of Barstool Sports, and they're just perfectly named podcasts all the time, is the fact that the NFL is hoping to have Lift Every Voice play before the Star Spangled Banner at the NFL games, which I think has given two big reactions on social media. The first is, oh, wow, this is so cool. This is so great. And the same time of anytime we would hear like the white actors who voice people of color are giving up those voice acting jobs to people of color, which sure, yeah, great. Fulfilling the bare minimum. I completely agree. But then the other side is it really kind of doesn't make a lot of difference if the whole reason for the protest and everything else wasn't so that way then you could get Lift Every Voice. It was for the police brutality aspect, and that needs to get reformed. And so cities which will still approve ever expanding police budgets, then also being the same cities where they're playing Lift Every Voice every other Sunday when the NFL team plays. It's just the quintessential example.
Kelton, I'm sorry. Like, so we're getting Lift Every Voice. White people are no longer going to voice people of color. I mean, we want police to stop killing black people, I mean, I think we might be getting a little greedy. Like, I'm just saying, like.
Well, think about it this way, though. It's not lift up black voices. It's lift every voice. Every voice matters.
I mean, every voice matters. Exactly. It's like, come on. Like, I mean, clearly we're doing our best, as a nation and as the NFL as a league to not actually address any systemic racism whatsoever. But you know what, man? Like, we're going to play lift every voice.
Yes. An apathetic hand job is still a hand job, as the phrase goes. I think, though, that to kind of contrast this, a thing that really does, I think, have a pragmatic effect is hitting the NFL in its pocketbooks. And that comes with the news that the CEO of FedEx, who's also a minority owner in, obligatory trigger warning here for the word Redskins. We're talking about the organization, not about the Native American people group here, but saying that if you don't change the name of your professional football team, then we're not going to want to fund your next stadium venture when it comes time. And that is kind of what Dan Snyder has been trying to sell the whole city on, of, well, we may have a sucky team, and hey, I may be a sucky owner, but we're gonna get a really balling stadium somewhere in either Virginia or Maryland.
I think, look, so we all know Dan Snyder's not going to change the name. And unless he dies or somebody sees to that fact, hypothetical, of course.
Yeah. We would never call for the direct assassination of Dan Snyder. That would be
of course not.
Bad if that happens.
But I think I'm just saying, My Pillow Stadium is still potentially on the market.
I think that guy might also be fine with the name Redskins, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the Redskins or the Washington professional football team, may end up, it may be the My Pillow Dome.
Ooh, God. Oh, no. A pillow dome sounds like a weird sex act that people were really into in the 70s. Like, hey, get over here.
Following to this day. Yeah.
Is that the zealous base that we need to start appealing to, Mitch? Is the underserved market?
Man, I wish I knew what base to appeal to.
I think it's third. Third is the base I think we're supposed to appeal to.
Man, for most of our fans, it's like second base is good enough. Like, let's be honest.
Not because they don't have sex, but because they're so out of shape they get tired at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like going all the way is a lot of work.
It's an achievement in itself. You just made it second base,
It's like you go ahead, Mitch.
You left home. I mean, the story writes itself.
Like you had enough energy to close the door and just groan your way into bed. Like, I think that's
I do enjoy that. Like, oh, baby, we're not going to fuck. We're going to go on a hero's journey. That's what's about to happen here. Christ. Yeah. I mean, I just think that when the NFL is wanting to talk about what changes that they're actually wanting to make, that it really is going to need to kind of be real policy instead of platitudes, because the idea of them adding patches on with all of the victims of police violence isn't going to work, mostly because, like, there's going to be a new patch every week, if not multiple patches every week. Yeah. And that seems like that's really not going to work. Okay, Mitch, like, I understand that that's cringeworthy, but, like, it's going to be true. Like, there's no way that the police are going to change unless they're defunded. And so I think that, like, real action.
No. Why would they even think patches is even an option? Like, where does that idea even come from?
Bad liberal politics, I think, is
I think you've got some like Northwestern grad who happens to work in the NFL front office.
You can just say like the CEO of the Green Bay Packers. That's okay.
Yes, there we go. Is like, yo, what if? First off, they wouldn't say yo. They would say, hey, sir, what if we put patches on the uniforms to show? I believe they call it solidarity.
Fight the power. Indeed.
Yes.
That is what we can do. Me, a multi-billionaire white man, can help fight the system.
I mean, I think it's my role as the proletariat to just ignore how any of that is supposed to even exist. Like, it's not even food on the table. It's nothing.
Yeah. Like, I do enjoy that. Like, okay, well, the NFL would get really woke, by the way, of just in the same way that realtors are no longer going to use the word master bedroom. If they'd be like, listen, we are now the financial suppliers and backers of this NFL team. God. We are no longer the owners of this NFL team.
We are the primary investors.
There we go.
In this NFL team.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's all such bullshit, empty, just meaningless platitudes. I can't get over it. I'm going to get mad though. So probably time to go ahead and move into the fantasy discussion, AKA the thing that we enjoy talking about that doesn't make the blood get overly boiling all the time. Unless, of course, either of you doubt me in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, or
I'm
disagree.
Here for the disagreements.
So I mean, the question I think always comes down every year of like, who are the fantasy players to avoid? And I think this year it's every single player on the Washington professional football team, because they're going to sit out a few games until.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I would not be surprised if they protest. Which is great. I think the players should absolutely exercise the power that they have over the team to make money and do stuff. And also because that eliminates one entire team that I have to draft from come fantasy season.
No amount of Dwayne Haskins.
Pretty decent last year.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's just hope he gets traded or something.
It's going to suck to not be able to pick up Scary Terry, but at the very least, you don't need to worry. It's like, oh, do I pick up Scary Terry? Or it's like, no, just don't pick him up. He's not going to play.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in a league with a bunch of Gabes and no one's drafting the Redskins players, I'm taking Scary Terry in the 16th round or whatever.
I mean, that's the thing is, you make him a late round. You pick him up as a wide receiver 4 option. And then when he plays, he's your WR2. You're good to go.
I think a real issue when we're talking about the idea of wokeness or like not drafting based on protest would be interesting, because I wonder how Gabe would feel about like the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill is sitting there like in the 4th round.
Right.
To be fair, this is the level of commitment I have. I burned a roster spot for Colin Kaepernick for an entire season.
Oh wow! But you didn't start him for a game, just like those goddamn owners didn't.
Look, man. This is called liberal platitudes. But there's still money on the line. I still need a quarterback.
I'm just picturing Gabe frantically doing research, like how to be a good ally. How many Native American tribes have expressed their approval of the Kansas City Chiefs? What is their polling at this rate among the various organizations? Like,
look, man, God. it's like that is the beauty of neoliberal capitalism, right? It's like you gotta make sure you protect the profit margins and be a good ally.
Well, you got to have your finger on the pulse,
Exactly.
And if we are going to be keeping our finger on the pulse here, there was an interesting article released earlier today that talked about the 9 must-avoid fantasy football players, aka these are people who you certainly don't want to reach up for, don't even necessarily want to draft based on what their estimate is, but instead are wanting to go with just wait for them to fall and continue falling, and then maybe take a look at them. So I'll read off the list, and then I figure we can each kind of just pick one and then talk about it for a little bit, if that makes sense. Okay, y'all?
Perfect.
Great.
Sounds good.
So number 1, we have Devin Singletary, then Raheem Mostert, then AJ Brown, then Darius Geis, and then we have Odell Beckham Jr., followed by Devontae Parker, then Melvin Gordon, Evan Ingram, and wrapping up the list is Todd Gurley. Do we have any immediate disagreements, or is there any name, like, who wants to talk about which player on the list? I'll let y'all go first because I'm a gracious and benevolent host.
I really feel like. Wait, you said Evan Ingram?
Evan Ingram, that's correct.
Okay. Oh yeah. Because of injury, or
yes,
what kind of reason did they give?
Is that he is also listed as tight end 7 on various draft boards, and he's going 72 overall at the moment, and especially considering his injury history, and he's coming off of a foot surgery from December. Don't really know if you like him at his current ADP at this point.
He's young though, and if him and Daniel Jones play 16 games together,
that could be true. That could be, a real magic point. What was that one wide receiver on the Giants who had like one breakout game? Everyone tried to add him to their benches, and then
it was like Slay or something.
Yeah. Or no, not Slay is the cornerback.
Slay. I know. That's what I thought too. But I'm pretty sure they're both Slay.
It's fine. It's whatever. I'm sure we could easily
look
it up.
Slayton.
Okay, there we go. That makes
something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, he got I started in 1 week and he got me like 40 points.
There we go.
But that's gonna be his upside is huge. His floor is so very, very low.
Right. No, it's definitely like you're sitting here and you're pulling the lever like.
So this has Evan Ingram being listed at ADP at 72. So if you've gone 6 rounds, I guess, or you're 6.5 rounds in, Evan Ingram is still on the board. Are you gonna draft him, Mitch?
So here's what I'm saying. If like all the if you're not going for a tight end within the first 5 rounds, and Evan Ingram is there when you should be taking a tight end, I wouldn't shy away from that.
I think that's a good option.
Well, I mean, especially when we have to think about with him looking at like what the tight end rankings are. It's Kelsey, Kittle at the top, then Ertz, I guess, and
Ertz.
Mark Andrews, I would probably put him up there.
Yes,
until I get proven wrong.
Right.
And then,
but the bottom line is, I mean, I think to cut to your point, Kelton, is that at most we have 5 or 6 playable tight ends,
and these are all very high use guys as well. Yeah, they're just as likely to get injured as anyone else.
Yeah, let's not forget that George Kittle's nickname was George Brittle. The idea of him being healthy is more of a rarity than I think we're giving it credit for here.
I mean, so if you haven't picked, so if say you're 6.5 rounds in or in the middle of the 7th round, I'd pick him up. I mean, if you don't have a tight end yet, I don't know what you're doing. Like you need to be, I think ultimately, like if you're going to draft a tight end, like in the top, I'm going to say 5 to be safe.
Yeah.
Then you probably need to take a tight end like after your RB. I mean, even a running back and wide receiver is like. Well,
here let's look at it from a different perspective. This might be more interesting. All right, I'm gonna read the person above Evan Ingram and the person below, and then you tell me which of the 3 you would rather have. Okay, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, or Hunter Henry.
Ooh, that's a good group, man.
Can we just run in a league with no tight ends? Is that an option?
No, I'm taking Darren Waller in that group. I mean,
really,
if Derek Carr is starting for the Raiders, someone has to catch passes. Who's it going to be? They don't have any wide receivers.
Didn't they
He
just
ruined their
draft
offense last year?
Didn't they just draft Ruggs?
Yeah, they drafted Ruggs. They drafted the wrong Alabama wide receiver. Roger Goodell went up there and thought they were drafting Jerry Jeudy.
I mean, I think I would probably go with Hunter Henry. Like, main reason being is that like his upside, like when he came back and he was healthy. Granted, when he was healthy is like the biggest caveat in the world.
Yeah, and about health injury.
I mean, let's generally like when he's healthy is never a good phrase to follow a fantasy player.
And like, Hunter Henry's quarterback is either going to be Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert.
That's right. Young quarterback looking for a safety valve or captain checkdown. I agree. Thank you, Mitch.
But have you been watching this Chargers offensive line? Because Philip Rivers left because he's 100 years old and they can't block anyway.
Yeah.
So you got to be. I'm sold. I'm sold. Like that's. I'm gonna take Henry in the first round. Like,
oh wow.
No, I mean, I think that is a
I guess
fair
if you use my own argument against me that someone has to catch passes, but I feel like the Giants are a higher quality team in general than the Chargers at this point.
Yeah,
as far as offense goes,
I am going to have to really look and see like what Hunter Henry looks like in a check down offense, because I mean, so much of like his play potential was getting like 15 yards because he was, just
they just
playing
paid
off
Austin Eckler, and that's who the offense has been going through.
Valid points here. All right, Evan Ingram. Hey, buddy. Hey, pal. Hey, old friend.
But hey, I will take Darren Waller over Evan Ingram. Like, that's a no-brainer to me.
Oh my God.
I think Devin Waller. I think that's not a bad choice. It's not a great choice.
So, out of the listing on your end, Gabe, who stuck out that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is the one that is. I think he's not a must avoid. He's a gamble and win, or gamble and burn a roster spot kind of situation.
Now I think he's currently listed as wide receiver 10. He is 28th overall is his spot, and he's benched between Amari Cooper and AJ Brown.
So I would here's the thing is I would take Amari Cooper over either of those one, but of course, like I think that's the easy thing. But here's with Odell Beckham Jr. is if he gets the trade, if he gets out of Cleveland, and I mean that becomes the big thing is like if you are willing to burn a roster spot and pass up somebody like Amari Cooper, I wouldn't pass up anybody.
So you have no faith in Baker Mayfield, is what you're saying?
No. Why would I?
I mean, because he played well. He didn't last year.
When?
He has played well.
Oh yeah, sure. He has played well at some point in time.
So that was how many State Farm commercials ago, Mitch?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yes. No, last year was terrible. It was like, but he had a coach that had no idea what he was doing. He had no guidance. The sophomore slump is real in the NFL.
So, all right. So that is why I think Odell Beckham Jr. is a gamble, right?
Okay.
And I think if you are willing to take the risk, if you are comfortable with the risk, go for it. Like pick up Odell Beckham Jr. And it may pay off. It's 10
and 28 sounds too high for me.
Are y'all ready for I think what could be like the ultimate in a hot take? Meaning it will probably be wrong, but if I'm right, we can pin it to the board as
let's hear it
being accurate. Okay, so Stefanski's going to come in. He's going to institute the Minnesota style offense, right? That means you need a strong running game. So Chubb is Cook, right? And then that means you need a strong 1-2 wide receiver tandem with a power tight end. And I think Rudolph and Njoku really match. And I think that Odell Beckham Jr. and Stephon Diggs are much closer.
So they actually don't. I don't think they have Njoku anymore. They signed Austin Hooper in the offseason.
Oh, I could have sworn they had that, but very good point. Even more to it, even of Hooper playing in that Rudolph role. That would mean that the most valuable player in that style of an offense is the Adam Thielen role, and that means Jarvis Landry is
just like he was last season.
Yeah, I mean, but like currently, I'm looking at him on boards right now. He is the 29th wide receiver being taken.
Way more value in Jarvis Landry than Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that's my main caveat with Odell Beckham is that if you're looking at maybe even comparable production, especially if in PPR of Jarvis Landry, you could just wait another 3 rounds and scoop him up. That's my main issue with Odell Beckham. Is that if you're believing because of the offense, because of a rebound, Jarvis Landry hits all of those exact same spot points.
Absolutely. Fair. I agree.
But yeah, again, that could also be legitimately me being a crazy madman for saying that Jarvis Landry.
I love value players like Jarvis Landry and Darren Waller, but my thing is sometimes I get too caught up in the idea of having value players.
Oh yeah.
I don't get any of the home run hitters in the first rounds. Like, that's something you have to watch out for. Like, get your home run hitters early. And then, like, if you can get someone like Jarvis Landry in the 4th round, 5th round, hell yeah. Yeah. You can get someone like Darren Waller in the 7th round, hell yeah. Like,
exactly. I mean, so here's a legitimate question to both of you. And is, how do y'all draft? Like, how do you fill your roster?
I draft different every year, so I'm an awful person when it comes to this. I mean, because I don't usually have like a draft home, if you will. Like, I'm always kind of like joining like a buddy's work league, or I'm with a couple of friends and stuff, but then we're part of like a larger group as a whole.
Yeah.
And so I'm not able to go, well, I know this guy's a Patriots fan and I know this guy really loves quarterbacks, and so I'm able to kind of game theory it a little bit. But my in general philosophy is running backs are incredibly replaceable, and that tight ends are the most undervalued. And so, like, I will reach up to get a quality tight end because I believe the gulf between like a true tier 1 tight end and a tier 2 tight end is much larger than the gulf between a low tier 1 wide receiver and a high tier 2 wide receiver.
I would absolutely agree with that.
But I mean, that's me.
I subscribe to that method a lot, but unless I can get one of like the top 3 running backs. Because usually if you can get a top 3 running back, then that's like the game changer.
Yeah. But then here's the point here. At this point last year, we would be arguing about why Kamara is a much better value than McCaffrey.
No, absolutely. I made that mistake. I passed on McCaffrey in 2 different drafts, so I made that mistake.
That's the thing that like will haunt me. Versus like I'm much more comfortable picking up a running back in like the 4th round. Because if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I have 6 other running backs I can pick from.
They are always injured. Yeah. Someone else will come, But I feel like wide receivers are the same way. So maybe you have a point with tight ends because the tight end is so limited. Like, there's only going to be 5 of them that play well for the entire season, and that can really make a difference if you could. But then you're in this like exchange game with your roster. You're constantly like, it's like you're dedicated at that point. That's why I take more of a balanced approach.
I mean, and I think that's right. I think that's probably a good point as to what you got to do. Speaking about running backs, my pick, the name that stuck out to me the most was Todd Gurley. He's consensus ranked at 30th overall, running back 14, and I think that is way too high. I think that is people really trusting the Atlanta offense, especially when you compare. The 2 running backs he is between are Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Kansas City, who I get as a rookie, but he'll be splitting time with Damian Williams on a high-touch offense. And then you have Chris Carson, a.k.a. the bell cow back of Seattle, and that's what he's sandwiched between. Versus Le'Veon Bell is 10 spots lower, and he's sandwiched between David Montgomery and Raheem Mostert. I would much rather have Le'Veon Bell than I would have Todd Gurley. Like,
especially in a PPR league. I mean,
yeah. And I could be wrong. Todd Gurley could go great, but I would rather be wrong about Gurley than because I missed out on him than because I drafted him. If that makes sense.
So I think where he's placed is right, because the Atlanta offense has potential to be high powered and score a lot of points, and he could get a lot of those points. But the Atlanta offense also has the potential to fall fate to their defense, just like they have been doing since they made the Super Bowl.
I mean, I don't really trust anyone on Atlanta, probably beyond Ryan and Ridley at this point. I could be wrong. Watch as Hayden Hurst becomes like the
you don't
god.
Trust Julio?
Julio, he is great. You know, like if I'm in the second half of the first round and Julio Jones is there, absolutely, I will take him. But like he always has this like weird quirk. What was it like 2 years ago where like it's week 11 and Julio Jones still hasn't caught a touchdown pass?
Yeah.
You know, it's those things that then really drive me up a wall with him. And that's not his fault. I think in terms of like underrated players, that when a list gets made, Julio Jones will probably go down as that, just because of being like this god tier player that has just the worst luck of teams being up 25 points. Not going to go into
not being able to throw a touchdown in the red zone is their issue.
yeah. I mean,
for whatever reason, they just can't seem to do it.
Yeah, what was that stat where it's just like if they were at the 15, statistically, it would almost be better for them to take like a 30-yard sack for Julio Jones's touchdown percentage.
Wow.
It was just I mean, it was so fucked up for him. But I mean, I really think that Todd Gurley in my head is too high. I think running backs though are across the board with what's happening here. We have McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, then Henry, Kamara, Cook, Mixon, Chubb, Jacobs, then Jones, Drake. Miles Sanders is listed at 12th overall. And
that seems a little
bullish
but
on
he
the
should
Eagles.
He should be above Gurley. I agree with that.
Yeah, I would move everyone a little bit down. Is my
I don't know. I am saying Josh Jacobs number 3 overall for the season.
Wow,
that is my prediction.
You are going hard on the Raiders. So and yet you won't draft Darren Waller. Explain to me what happened.
Because Josh Jacobs is as far as most teams go, he is going to be the bell cow back. He was last year. He's going to be
catch. If he can't catch,
so he started catching at the end of last season, which was great. And I think he's only going to get better. And I think he's going to catch more passes. And I think a lot of people are going to undervalue Jacobs because they aren't sure that he can catch. And he's going to come out, and I'm going to say this: 14 receptions per game, 198 yards total.
It's a little aggressive.
14 receptions per game.
I liked where you were going before that.
Yeah, I mean, I might take the under on that, but like, here's like a real fucked
Jacobs.
Up thing. I would almost go closer with 14 touches a game. That would be a more interesting over under. Just because I mean,
I think that's probably the correct is the correct take.
Gruden, I think in a weird way, what's his history with running backs? Do we know? Does he run them into the dirt and then cut them loose?
I mean, he ran Josh Jacobs pretty hard last season. He was dealing with a shoulder injury almost the whole season, but he got his magical football juice before every game and still played. So
and can't wait for that inevitable 4-game suspension to hit. So how many people do you think are going to like take steroids and just be like, I thought it was a way to prevent coronavirus. I'm sorry, NFL.
Hopefully all of them.
Yeah. God.
I mean, I actually think with the amount of anti-inflammatories that NFL players take, they might actually get away from COVID-19, because isn't COVID-19 the whole thing is it causes this insane inflammation response, and these guys are on like insane anti-inflammatories, and that's what I call the football juice. Like that's the pre-game football juice, is they give you that anti-inflammatory injection,
all of them,
which may also be a cocktail of like horse steroids and other things like that, but like know,
just the best tranquilizers is what they keep on wanting to put these people on here. But I mean, I think that's kind of our thoughts on fantasy. So obviously if people have any opinions on it, or they want to hold us accountable, please feel free and do so. But in the meantime, the third segment, the thing that we're actually going to be closing out with here, and we actually have a bit of time to talk about this, is it's two things. The first one is a more humorous element, and then the next one will just go and play until the wheels fall off a little bit here talking about it. But the bet I wanted to talk to y'all about this week was the 4th of July hot dog eating contest that is going to be taking place. The over-under on total number of hot dogs consumed by the winner is 72.5. And I'm wondering whether or not we are thinking about going with the over or going with the under. Now, I'm sure what people have been wondering about, because one of the main storylines going into this is the guy who eats all of these hot dogs. I think his name is Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut.
Oh, Joey
American
Chestnut.
hero.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to break a world record this time? Because if that's the case, obviously we would need to be betting the over. Or is he going to just kind of win by a comfortable margin, possibly? And then we would need to go with the under. So curious to know what y'all's takes are with that.
So when's the last time Joey Chestnut broke his record?
Ooh, buddy.
That's the thing, is because I feel like it's been a while. I feel like a few years back he was just breaking his record. And he got like past 75 or somewhere around there. I just don't see him like being that
74.
into it anymore.
He set 74 eaten in 2018.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean that stomach's 2 years older. You know,
he ate
that's
71 last year. So we'll see.
He's probably still comfortably beating all the competition by like 15 or 16 hot dogs, you know, like.
So I'm going to take the over, but no new world record.
Okay.
I think he's going to get to 73, and then he's going to explode.
Yeah, this is just bizarre, by the way, if anyone wants to look at like what the male record is versus like what the female record is. It's insane. It's
like 20 dog difference.
I mean, Joey Chestnut in 2019 ate 71. Miki Soto ate 31.
Oh,
which is
God,
and that's still a lot of hot dogs.
It's an insane amount. It's a truly insane amount.
I mean, if nobody's ever engaged in competitive eating, you know, what a world we live in, first off. Second, it is not easy. I have engaged in a number of pizza challenges. I even one time looked up like, what's like the world record for watermelon? And it's like 3 pounds of watermelon. I was like, I can eat 3 pounds of watermelon. I got like a half pound in. I was like, fuck this, man. Like, I'm done.
Because I mean, that's 3 pounds of water at the very least.
You know, at the time I was high and I didn't think about it. So, like, my mind was like, when you get 3 pounds of watermelon together, it doesn't look like that much.
Yeah.
Until you realize it's 3 pounds of watermelon.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the strategy you think with eating watermelon? Do you have to, you know, like turn it into a slushy almost in your mouth as you're consuming it, or what?
Dude, the key to all competitive eating is work fast.
Yes.
As opposed to slowly. I see.
Yeah,
watermelon is actually like you know, as far as sprinting goes, watermelon's perfect because you just swallow it. You just try to, you just swallow it.
Don't even
I mean,
think
it's
about
basically already a slushy. You know, it just happens to hold a loose form.
It's spongy yet fibrous. Oh,
Yes.
watermelon.
Pieces
Never
that just
change.
fit perfectly in your mouth to just swallow. You know, that's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. By the way, like, what does Joey Chestnut do like in his off time? Because that's got to be.
I think he only competitively eats.
Really.
Like, and it's not just hot dogs. Like, I think he competes in a lot of other.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right
a ton
now.
of competitions.
He ate 32 Big Macs in 38 minutes. That is how now help me out here for anyone at home who's wondering. These people are vomiting everything back up. I would
No,
assume,
yes, you
right?
have to. You
Like,
have to.
I don't think so. I think they keep that shit down.
You
their
have
body
to, like,
processes all of that.
I think you have to keep it down for a certain amount of time.
You do have to keep it down for a certain amount of time, but there's no way it's long enough for all of it to digest.
Okay,
There's no way.
Gabe, he ate 28 pounds of poutine in 10 minutes.
What?
28 pounds?
In 10 minutes. That's
I didn't think
2.8 pounds a minute.
I didn't think poutine was that dense.
That is
Like, that can't be that much. I can't imagine there's that much poutine to be like, that's got to be dense stuff.
yeah, man.
I mean, it is like French fries and gravy and cheese.
That is let's see here. That is 40 ounces of food every 60 seconds. My God. 0.66 ounces of food every second for 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
I mean, like you said, speed. You just bite, swallow for 10 minutes. And somehow you swallow 26 pounds of that shit.
Yeah.
28.
I think you're right. That is all he does. He does just the competitive eating circuit. Like that's got to be.
I saw some like little 5-minute thing on him one time, and it was talking about how much milk he drinks to expand his stomach.
Well, so I don't know. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he just drinks like a gallon of milk every day.
Yeah,
because it's the only way he can keep his stomach expanded to eat all that shit.
So there was a documentary on.
Beer? Like, wouldn't that help with expanding?
I think maybe the bubbles.
I think something about the carbonation. Yeah. Carbonation.
So there was a documentary back in the day. 'Cause back in the day, Joey Chestnut's main competition was Kobayashi.
Yes.
He was the Japanese eating.
I remember
machine.
Kobayashi.
Yeah, Kobayashi, there was some beef between Nathan's and Kobayashi, and so he no longer competes.
Was
so
it kosher beef though? Sorry.
But I think the deal is Joey Chestnut, phenomenal eater, but he has not had true competition because Kobayashi is still a competitive eater, but has not competed against Joey Chestnut in America anymore. But there's a documentary on Kobayashi, and what he would do is he literally ate competitively all the time. Like in this documentary, they go to like one of those like conveyor belt sushi places, and he eats like pounds upon pounds of sushi. He's like, I do this every day.
Why? Why though? That doesn't sound. Oh God, that just doesn't sound good to me.
No, it sounds terrible. Yeah. Like your stomach, there's no way it can just handle that long.
Oh, and apparently that's the whole thing. Is like you have to do it.
You can't
train your body to handle that amount of food all the time. But you also have to. Kobayashi is famous for he's like, fat people can't be good at competitive eating because all of the fat pushes down on your stomach, limiting its size. So you should be skinny and athletic to also be a competitive eater.
Fat shaming the fat people from competitive eating is a very
your stomach can push the other organs out the way.
Yeah, that's right. Like every pregnant woman is just hollering at them.
I know, right?
Okay, so to give people a frame of reference here, Joey Chestnut, who has been established as like one of the most dominant eaters, he ate 82 tacos in 8 minutes at one point. Okay, Kobayashi.
Are these like street tacos, or are these
I believe so. Yeah. It's
Oof.
Kobayashi ate 159 tacos in 10 minutes. So, I mean,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
Joey Chestnut has not had real competition.
That is kind of the case. That's kind of like looking at like Babe Ruth's baseball records before segregation ended a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe looking at some asterisks by those stats.
Yeah, I mean this is like LeBron never had to play Kobe. Jordan never had to face. Jordan was the most dominant player of his era, so it doesn't really matter. But
I think it's time for Coney Island and Nathan's Hot Dogs to put their beef aside with Kobayashi, and it's time for him to come back to the hot dog eating contest.
Yeah,
I think
Kobe this year.
Yep. I mean, this is a year of unity, right? We're talking about unity. We're playing Lift All the Voices at NFL games. Get Kobayashi back. Lift that man's stomach.
My God. Okay, so in 2015, Kobayashi consumed 110 hot dogs without buns in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's the difference. The bun.
I know.
They
I know.
dip the bun in hot water and shit.
It just is something of where I can't stop thinking about, like the sheer amount of food. Like this is what someone is going to be like. This is what they do all the time in America. This is their culture. This is what it's all been about. Remember what you're fighting for, troops.
Exactly. I mean, this is the culture and history that people are so afraid of having erased. Is competitive kosher hot dog eating.
Yeah, I mean, what's that connection though with Joey Chestnut and the alt-right, where he's just saying, "Jew will not replace us," just over and over. Sorry, bad joke.
Okay, I was like, is that a thing? Because
I was going to say, does Joey Chestnut deserve to be affiliated with the alt-right? Like, seems a little harsh.
I was trying to go with a joke about jus sauce or whatever. I'm not even sure. We'll see. We'll see. That squeaking noise you hear is the sound of me pivoting to the last thing that I want us to talk about here. The NBA season is rumored to actually be restarting on July 30th, and it's a simple yes or no question of will the NBA season restart on time? Yes, and the odds are at -300, or no, and the odds are at +200. What are we feeling here, gentlemen?
Man, I want to go with no. I just don't see how they all don't show up to the bubble and half of them test positive, or a third of them, or it's going to be big name players, and if 2 or 3 star players test positive, they can't stay on time.
Yeah, they'll just say they won't, because I mean, also, who's to say, by the way, that then they don't just do some like weird thoroughly bizarre thing, and they're like, well, okay, we'll flip coins, that's how we'll determine who wins from this point on. Just competitive coin flipping.
So I agree with Mitch. It's going to be a hard no. They're not going to start on time, but they're going to finish it. They're going to finish the season out by a large scale horse tournament. just something dumb. Like, it's just going to be the dumbest thing you ever. They're like, we are going to play basketball in one way or another.
It's just playing polo. Who do we think could make the transition from NBA to professional polo? Find out next week. Yeah, God. Who knows? Well, that, I think, has been an episode. We have somehow managed to even come in under time this time. Man, I'm enjoying this a little bit.
It was a really
here.
depressing ending for this. It just summarizes the sports world in general right now.
That's right. I just want us to figure out, because I think that until it actually starts, that would be an interesting line to follow based on the developments of if it goes up or down all the way through. And
so we're at minus 300 for yes, they start on time, plus 200 for no. That's easy enough to remember.
Yeah. I mean, in worst case scenario, we can listen back to the ending segment on this if we ever will get used to the sounds of our own voices.
Bottom line is, right now it's a 500-point swing.
Yeah, I do enjoy thinking about some just team of people in Vegas who are having to comb through everything to try to figure out like how they think the NBA will react.
Oh my God. It's a couple of like old like Jewish or Slavic guys who are just like sitting there like chain smoking cigarettes, with like tinted glasses on, like indoors. And they're just like, and they're constantly typing on one of those adding machines with like the paper ticketing off. Yeah, I think that's.
I can already like feel the gold wire rim glasses.
My gosh, both of you! It's computer algorithms.
Yeah.
So you say, if you had a crew of old geezers bumping numbers out.
First off, in those computer algorithms, those artificial neural networks, they are what's called a black box. Nobody knows what's in the black box. You don't know that it is tiny Slavic and Jewish men just calculating the numbers and smoking cigarettes. Maybe the box is so black from all the cigarette smoke that's inside of it.
That's true. Maybe the box is that woke. That's the reason that it's a black box. It's remembering the struggle of why we fight. Oh Christ. Okay, well, what have we got to plug here, y'all?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter, although I haven't been doing much on it lately, at Dr. Goldtooth. You can also find me on Instagram doing the same, making some art on the side.
Dope-ass art.
As well as my other podcast, Does It Slap?
Hell yeah. Mitch, where can people find you? Nowhere?
Don't find me.
Yeah, you don't want to be found. I understand. I can respect that decision.
I don't care if I'm found. There's just nothing there. There's just you turn the stone over and you put it back.
No moss can be found here. Well, as for me, go ahead and as always, find us online at Sports Radio 1917 across all platforms. You can find me on Twitter at Culture Truther, and we will be back next week to talk about who the fuck knows about what else is going on in sports. I don't know. Do y'all? No one does. Okay, well, we love you. We'll talk soon. Okay.